Hello and welcome to Villa Park Podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm joined by Kev, Mr. KT AVFC. And Kev, good to see you, mate. We've got quite a bit to talk about today.
Yep, good to be here, mate. Good to be here. A few things to talk about, both club-wise and obviously international-wise. So let's go for it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So we've got Villa beating Chelsea and already winning their first trophy, as the title of this video says, under Unai Emery. So yeah, we'll get into that. Also, a certain talking of trophies, another trophy that England aren't going to win. So we'll get into that and reaction to that and what various people have said about Southgate and the England team. Get your thoughts on it, Kev. Get your thoughts in the comments, guys. And then a little bit of a roundup on the Villa women on Sky Sports again today. Valiant performance, but ultimately came up short. So yeah, we'll get into all that as well as your comments. As I say, great having you on board with us. Please get involved in the comments what your thoughts were of today's matches for Villa men's team and women's team. As the mid-season break is coming to an end, what are your thoughts? And yeah, your thoughts on England. Where do we go from here? Southgate in, Southgate out. Are we as good as we think we are? All those type of questions. Get involved in the comments and drop a like on the video. Help us spread the word of the channel. And if you're new to it, please subscribe. We're one away from 730 subscribers, Kev. So we're well on the road. Well on the road.
Come on.
So yeah. So Villa, as I said, in the build up there, another win in the mid-season break. You highlighted it before about the pre-season, us having a great pre-season in terms of results. Well, our mid-season break has been pretty perfect so far. Decent results: a draw against Brighton, a win against Chelsea today, 1-0. Is it boding well for? Is it a false dawn, or is it really boding well for when the season returns?
Well, there's no positives. Sorry, no better thing for to get some positives is than a win. And that's the most important thing, really. I think if you're looking to get anything out of it, but by all accounts, I mean, again, I didn't see. I've seen a few of the highlights of the game, but decent goal. Good to see McGinn obviously pushing forward. I'm sure we can go into that in more detail shortly. But as long as he's getting his Unai Emery ideas into those players, that's all I care about. Yeah, the system, the style, the intensity, just that pattern of play that that we want to see, the identity that we talked about so much. As long as we've got that out of this, I wouldn't really care if we lost or if we won. For me, it's about getting into that 26th of December Boxing Day game against Liverpool and going toe to toe with a team that are obviously be one of the best teams in Europe for the last few years, and showing that at Villa Park we can compete with them and not lying down. So I'm looking at it as it's. I think we said this before, didn't we? On one of the pods we did before the World Cup broke, was it a bad time to break because of the momentum we had from 2 wins? But I thought it was a good time to break because we got those 2 wins probably fortuitously, considering he didn't have much time with the players, and then he's got all that more time then to put his ideas into them. And then it's like another little opportunity. Then when January comes around, with adding to the squad. So there's lots of like little. It's almost like they're taking a couple of like paracetamol, aren't they? Give you a little boost. Give you a little boost. Give you a little boost. It's down to the players now to do it.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, I think when you mentioned kind of identity and kind of a way of playing, and that's something that I think has been quite evident, even though it's mid-season. I keep saying pre-season, even though it's mid-season, we really are seeing this kind of Villa when they're on the ball and a way of trying to play, and Villa when they're without the ball and the way that they're closing down. And that's like you said, that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see a real plan, and Emery's quite vocal on the touchline, which I'm sure once he instills the what he wants to instill in the players, I'm sure he might quieten down a little bit. But at the moment, it's really on. He's really on it with the players, and yeah, I think that's the key thing. There's this insistence on playing out from the back. And both teams, Villa and Chelsea, were doing it, and you get that in the kind of friendly atmosphere where they're not going to press each other too much. But what was evident to see for me was, and in both games, and also like going back into the normal season, is he's trusting his players to be a lot more comfortable on the ball, particularly playing out from the back.
Yeah, that's just got to be a key thing, hasn't it? With any kind of success that's going to come from a team, they've got to be comfortable wherever you get the ball, anywhere on the pitch. You look at some of the games in the World Cup, I've been so impressed by seeing some of the teams who've just been popping it around in really tight areas. I mean, even times that's like both France and England were doing it, where, you could be comfortable doing it. I mean, I remember almost the best example of it I saw was when Man City beat us when they scored that remember that unbelievable goal they scored? Was it Bernardo Silva?
Yeah.
At the game of the park. But it was in our box, and they were just so we were in their box pretty much, and they were just popping it around, a little header over someone's head, little dink around the corner, and next thing you know, they're at the other end of the pitch and have scored. And for too long, we've seen Villa players just look a bit nervous on the ball. We've talked about it a lot, even some of the current squad, playing a pass behind someone or not into someone's stride and losing that opportunity and momentum of the attack. So I think being comfortable on the ball as a Premier League footballer who has aspirations to be in Europe, it's got to be one of the basics for you. It's got to be one of the basics.
Absolutely. Before we get into the goal, one lad who was starting and who came onto a good effect in the game against Brighton, but also started the game today, was Arjen Reiki, and didn't look out of place. And I don't know whether he's playing for maybe Emery's taking a look at him to take him out on loan or anything like that. But that's got to be more encouraging that he's getting minutes, and in that midfield. Like I said, I don't know how much you saw of it, but he was driving forward with the ball. And with, he seems to have that frame, like that Tim Bonham frame as well, quite tall, quite rangy, can get about the pitch. And I know that's a player that Emery likes, that player can drive with the ball and get from defence into attack really quickly, because that's how he wants to transition. So, I don't know whether it's something that we could see Reiki maybe forcing his way into squads.
I've been really impressed with what I've seen of him, to be honest. There's always that question, is it about the golfing class between some of these players we've seen in youth football, whether that might be a Lou Barry or a Brad Young, etc. Even a Carney Chukwuemeka, and can they make the grade into men's football? He looks decent. There's other players like him. I think Feeney looks like a real prospect. Rory Wilson scored an absolutely cheeky little hat trick, especially the first goal.
Yeah, FA Youth Cup. Yeah, we'll maybe talk about that a bit later. Yeah.
So this talent we've been kind of buying in, bringing in. There's obviously a lot there, but you want to start seeing some of them make the step into that first team. Obviously, Jacob Ramsey's done it. A lot of the rest of them are on loan. Aaron Ramsey, Tim Bonham. They're all out doing their bit. Cam Archer had his chance to go on loan, come back, hasn't had much minutes. The surprise for me is that you would have thought it would have been someone like a Jacob Ramsey getting the minutes. Don't know what's happened, whether he's got an injury or something. Or maybe Morgan Sanson.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe Morgan Sanson. And yet it's someone like Arjen Reiki, and obviously Tommy O'Reilly came on as well. So, I mean, look, other clubs are doing it. Other clubs are bringing in youngsters and they're getting opportunities. I'm sure Emery will give the players a chance, and it's great to see him taking it.
Definitely. And yeah, we've got loads of comments coming in. We'll go through them in a bit, because I think lots of people are impressed with with Emery and seeing an identity coming through and seeing a team that's on the counter attack. But one of the things we're also seeing is a slightly different John McGinn, and being asked to do slightly different things. And I think he's one of those players who always seems to be, I don't know whether it's his character or what, but he always seems to kind of do the stuff, like his role is always the one that gets changed. Like him or Louise are always the ones who get slightly changed. He's either more defensive, or he's kind of being asked to do that box to box, or he's being asked to get forward a little bit. And I think this is the area, this is the one part of his game that he's most comfortable with, I feel. And lovely goal today. Nice move up the left-hand side with Digne, playing it into Watkins, who flicked it to McGinn, and he finished really smartly. And that's what Villa fans have been crying out for, because we've always been saying, like, let's get that McGinn that plays for Scotland, who gets into the box, and hopefully this can be a sign of things to come.
Absolutely. He's got his meatball haircut now, as he said in his video.
Engaged now as well, I believe. So congratulations.
Yeah, engaged. Congratulations, John, and the future Mrs. McGinn. Yeah, great to see. Happy off the pitch is always a good sign. Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for McGinn in many ways because he has been that one that has been just moved around department to department, hasn't he? Go and work in accounts for a couple of weeks, go and work in HR for a couple of weeks, Johnny. That's almost like what it's been like with him. How are you ever going to get good at a job? And you see him for the international stage. We talked about it before that year for Scotland when he scored 10 goals in a calendar year. It's unbelievable. That's up there with like the best players in the world in terms of scoring for the country. Yeah. We've never played to his strengths. The question was always, is he good enough compared to the Buendias, the Baileys, the Coutinhos to be that sort of number 10 or, supporting striker potentially or playing wide left? Is he tricky enough? But if you can get McGinn with his energy and his impetus and his eye for goal a bit more offensively up the pitch and you've got players behind like a Kamara, like a Louise doing the work, then I think he can still be an asset. I just think he almost needs to get his confidence back as well because he's been knocked quite a lot. Getting the captaincy was a big call when probably a lot of people didn't think it was the right call. Not necessarily a slur on him, but because of Tyrone Mings not doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Then we obviously had that terrible run. You're the main man, captain. You're getting all the press probably talking about you. You've got all the fans talking about you, saying, should you be in the team? That'll knock anybody's confidence. Scotland didn't qualify, obviously, for the World Cup. All these different things. Good to see him with the shackles off a little bit.
Yeah, and like I say, finished his goal off really, really well. Let's get into some of the comments because we've got loads flying in. Molly Boy, I'll get onto yours later because that's about England. Gary's asking a question. Evening, guys. Has this been a good little pre-season, and what is our identity going forward from what we've seen in these games? Well, you've said that you think it has been a good time for us to take stock a little bit and have a bit of a break and get the training into players. And I think only having 3 players out at the World Cup has been a real benefit for us. And some of the players look really, really sharp, really quick, even just in these last couple of games. In terms of identity, I think like I said, we've got this 4-2-2-2 where we're trying to break really quickly. Bailey and Watkins playing quite close together, and we're getting runners as well from the midfield, and that's really good to see. Obviously McGinn scoring today, Reiki getting involved in the goal the other day, and even before that, before this break, we were looking at getting midfielders into the box. So yeah, I think we're going to continue to see runners with the ball from midfield. What was interesting today was Deeney was getting forward quite a bit as well, which was good. But yeah, you can really, and I think once we take the lead, I think we're going to see that keeping the team at arm's length, like dropping back, and that's why he wants runners, because if we can get teams on the break and really break with speed, then I think we'll start to really hurt teams.
Yeah, you've got to play to your strengths, haven't you, as well? And I think there's been a lot of talk of Louise and Kamara being almost like a level above, and let's be clear, like those two are international midfielders, aren't they? Really, maybe not. Obviously didn't make the respective squads, but could have quite easily made the squads for 2 of the biggest nations in the world, and they've played obviously for their country. So you've got 2 players there that could sit at the base of that midfield and dictate play. With energy, with precise passing, with composure on the ball, and everything can kind of be fed from them, can't it? Then if you've got a solid back line, you've got a good base in midfield. The issue for Villa for a long time has been obviously the attacking bits, isn't it? Because we've just not scored enough goals, enough chances, created enough chances. I'd be interested to see what happens if we bring in a wide player, like we're linked to wide players, and that's the plan. But at the moment, I'm delighted that the front players are playing closer together because that's how they can work together. Watkins is less isolated, and again, Watkins has had some powers from Villa fans, but he has been on his own quite a bit. So I think that fast counter attack, making sure that we're playing out from the back and being composed and calm and not being scared to maybe concede the odd bad goal because it will come in the right kind of way. And also digging in and defending the lead. And I just think if we become a team that becomes hard to beat, that's a really good asset for us, I think, moving forward. And a team that other teams start to fear a little bit. God, do you want to go 1-0 against Villa? I think we've not had for long enough a fear factor.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Matt's agreeing with you. Likes the identity. he does think that we could concede a lot of bad goals due to losing possession in our own third as we adjust to it, though. I did think some of our passing was better, and Tiwan, who's joining us, I agree with this comment. She said she was kind of impressed with Olsen today. He looks like he's getting a bit better, especially coming off his line to get the ball. And I was a little bit more impressed with him today and pressed a bit more with his passing and coming for crosses. So again, that's a pleasing sign to see that he's kind of getting used to it. The back four are getting used to playing in front of him as well. So that can only bode well because you never know. He could end up playing in that Boxing Day game.
Yeah, I saw Ben Foster on his podcast with Neil Cutler. For those that haven't seen it, actually, when you've got through the back catalogue of all the Villa Park podcasts, then give that a watch. No, all jokes aside, it's good. It was a good chat, actually. Cutler is probably the nicest guy in football, but he was being very complimentary about Olsen. Now, maybe he's going to be, but in terms of his quality and what kind of guy he is, and clearly had some tough times for us. And there's a whole banter going around saying he concedes 3 goals in every game. And I'm not convinced he's good enough for a number 2 based on what I've seen so far. But it would be nice to see, wouldn't it? Be nice to see him if he does get the opportunity to play, which looks like he might do, with obviously how well Emmy's doing. Then big game, and it'd be nice to him to get some plaudits for the Villa fans, I think.
Yeah. Well, just as we say, a goal for a striker is good, even in like a friendly game. A clean sheet in a friendly game is good. So, let's hope he takes some confidence from that. Ian's made a good point as well, and I like your thoughts on this. I was pleased with the link-up play. Louise and Kamara are developing a good understanding, and I'm super pleased that McGinn is being deployed in a role that brings the best out of him. Louise and Kamara, that is, if you're looking for 2 players that are nice, relaxed and composed on the ball, especially if you're playing out from the back. I know Louise got caught out against Brighton, but he ended up rectifying it later on. But yeah, if you're looking for players that are comfortable with playing it out from the back, that are not going to panic, that as long as they've got options to pass the ball to, then you can't ask for any better, really, can you?
No, as I said, I think those 2, quality. They're young, they've got all the ability in the world. From obviously great footballing background as well in Brazil and France, in terms of they've gone played for obviously their respective nations, and I just think they're going to get better and better. So hopefully that's with Aston Villa. If it's not, and obviously I know Louise nearly left, but then if it's on our terms and you get a lot of money for them, but as a combination, they can stay fit. I just think there's real quality there. They've got everything really, other than maybe goals, which neither of them score enough goals. They've got everything. They can move the ball on. They can, particularly in Kamara's case, get stuck in. They're being industrious, composed, good passing. You'd like to see a few more assists, absolutely. But I think the way Villa have played a lot of the time has been the reason you're not seeing more goals from the strikers and more assists from the midfield has been because of the way the team is playing together and being cohesive together. But that base of that midfield for me gives me a bit of confidence. And when you've also got Dendoncker kicking around and Irabunam to come back in, I think we've got some good quality in there now.
Yeah, definitely. Matt says he thought Reiki looked very good. Michael, good evening. Yeah, good evening, Michael. Thanks for joining us. Rachel has joined us as well. She's agreeing with Tiwan. We're working hard at playing out from the back. I think we've. I don't know what the deal is with Ramsey. We'll have a look into it. He must have a knock. There's no reason why he wouldn't be playing or wouldn't be involved. So yeah, he must have a knock. Giggs, Reiki looked composed in possession. Ian, it would be really interesting to see which areas of the team Emery focuses on in terms of the January transfer window. We covered this a little bit the other day, didn't we? But any more thoughts on that from you, Kev, with regards to? I mean, I've got the pics of Watkins and Bailey there. They seem to be linking up quite well, and then the second half, Ings and Archer, who look really sharp. I mean, is it still a case of we need that forward player that maybe different option, that strong forward player, or another quick wide player? Do you think Sarr might be an option again?
Yeah, I think we definitely need one, even if it's just to keep the rest of them on their toes. Because look, if your players are producing the goods, then you won't bring anybody in. But we've not consistently produced the goods. And look, I made the point about it 2 minutes ago that the whole team playing better means that you get more opportunities for your midfielders and strikers, etc. But the goal return still isn't good enough for us to kick on, and I just don't think that we are consistent enough in those positions. So I think we need some kind of pace out wide, because again, Bailey hasn't got the best injury record for us, although he'll point to the fact that throughout his career, other than the last year, he's been pretty good with injuries.
Yeah.
And maybe some kind of focal point striker. I just think, we just need real quality in there, real quality. And it would be lovely for all the players we've discussed. It'd be lovely for McGinn to get the opportunity to kick on and more forward positions and score goals, and for Watkins to do a bit of it, Ings to do it. It'd be lovely for Bailey. All these things would be great. But I wouldn't say I'm absolutely certain that they are.
No. And you need the competition, don't you?
You need competition, absolutely. And then, competition for places means that maybe people start to fight a bit more for it, and then everyone's getting better around you.
Yeah. Agreed. Rachel thinks Rory Wilson is a baller. Like I say, we'll talk a little bit on that in a second. Michael agrees the tour has been a good workout for the team and also a way for management to have a real good look at our players and what we may potentially need. It's going to be interesting, definitely. Reiki was quite narrow from Giggs. Reiki would play quite narrow, and was he behind Watkins or on the left wing? It's difficult to say in that. I think you've got quite a fluid four, because you've got Louise and Kamara who kind of hold, and then you had Reiki, McGinn, Bailey, and Watkins, and it's quite fluid because sometimes Bailey was out wide, right or left. Sometimes he was through the middle, and McGinn was wide. So I think it's quite fluid. So it just depends on where they are when the ball's turned over and we're trying to push forward with it. One of them left of the midfield in the 4-2-2-2, as Matt says there. Well, we talked. Moley Boy says in regards to January transfer, as soon as we're looking at João Felix, that would be a great sign. I think they've put like €100 million price tag on him, so I don't know if that kind of rules us out of the running, Kev.
Maybe FFP. I don't know much about this FFP business in terms of how it works, because I'm still thinking that we sold a certain lad from Solihull called Jack Grealish for 100 million quid.
Yeah.
We sold Carney Chukwuemeka for 20. We sold Target for 15 million. We haven't spent that much. So, I don't know. I know there's complexities in terms of your wage bill and all that stuff, but Felix is an absolute baller. I mean, some of the stuff I saw him do in the World Cup was unbelievable, and I think there's a real quality there from that player. But is he more likely to go to a Man United, a Chelsea, a Real Madrid, a Bayern Munich type club? Probably. If he's got that number of suitors after him, is he going to go for a team that aren't even in Conference League or Europa League, let alone Champions League? So, but someone like him, who knows his links to the Mendes link, the agent, and how much that matters. If we could pull off for me, what I'd like about a transfer like that would be the following. I didn't feel we did this at any point, since Grealish. I know Ings was a shock signing, right? And it was a good, exciting sign at the time. But I don't think we've brought in, which I thought we would do in the summer, a real baller. We brought in a good centre half in Carlos, who we hope is going to be quality. Kamara's highly rated midfielder on a free. But I don't think we brought in someone that made everyone go, wow, Villa mean business. West Ham, not a great start to the season, but they brought in Scamacca, Italian striker for 30 odd million. Bringing in someone that makes everyone else go, crikey, Villa mean business.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We will see. I'm not sure if Emery is that type of manager. He likes to bring players up and bring players through, and almost like either bring players through like from the youth team or young, unpolished stones, if you like, and turn them into gems. That's kind of what he likes to do. If you look at how the young players that he blooded at Arsenal that are now playing really well, then that kind of tells you a lot what he's like. So yeah, we shall see. Quick question on. I mean, there's not too much to cover on the game. Like I say, I think one or two players look sharp. I think the young lad Caden Young looked good. And yeah, it was nice to see us, like I say, playing out from the back and some of the players looking pretty comfortable on the ball. But we've got Villarreal on Thursday. What would you say would be our starting lineup for that? And would you say that would be as close to the starting lineup that you'll play against Liverpool?
Well, you'd like to think, just like your last pre-season game, that you normally play your best team to give them a chance. So probably, but then is Martinez going to come back into it? Is Jacob Ramsey going to come back into it? So, I'd like to think he'll go as strong as he can. Obviously, there's going to be quite a few people down there at Villa Park, watching the game, and it's a big European team, albeit not in a European competition. It's a big European team who've got real pedigree, as he knows because he took them to the Europa League title. I think it would be a real fillip for us if we could get a good performance and a result against a team like Villarreal. And, on the back of winning the inaugural Al Wada Champions Cup, it's a big trophy, that. Big trophy. And
is it as big as that one we won when John Terry lifted it in?
What was that called?
I can't remember what it was called, but that trophy was massive.
Yeah. Wasn't that the Queensland Trophy or something?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I mean, then obviously we won the Peace Cup under O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never sing that. You'll never sing Champions of Peace. You'll never. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but we beat Chelsea. A decent team. So
yeah. Well, Buendia was out today, so you'd think that he would come back in. I mean, he's got quite a few options. I guess would you go Luis, Kamara, Buendia, McGinn in that midfield four, and then probably Watkins, Bailey up top, wouldn't you?
You probably would, yeah. Although I think Ings has got a shout with his performances, leading up to obviously before the season starts.
Yeah, Brighton. Yeah.
And and then I think Coutinho is probably a little bit far away, but Jacob Ramsey, is he gonna, if it's Ramsey or McGinn, who would you back right now in terms of a goal scorer midfielder for Aston Villa, Ramsey or McGinn, based on the last season or so?
I didn't think about Ramsey. You'd have to say Ramsey at the moment, wouldn't you?
You'd have to, wouldn't you? You'd have to. So if he picks McGinn, if Ramsey's fit, then hopefully that says a lot about what McGinn's been playing.
Yeah. Ian makes a great point just before we move on to discuss a couple of other things. I don't know if you saw it, Kev, but Broha for Chelsea had it looked like a really bad injury. Just quite an innocuous challenge. Like he went to pressurize Konsa like dummied and then turned away. And then as he turned away, I think Broja like stretched his leg out and his knee, or I don't know, just banged into Konsa. And because there's no crowd, you could really hear the screams, and pretty nasty, to be fair. So thoughts out to Broha there, because he's a good young player, and you just don't want to see anyone get injured really, but especially like a young player at the start of their career.
Yeah, he obviously did really well, didn't he, at Southampton? Well, he's certainly in moments, and he's gone back to Chelsea and played a little bit there. It's a real shame. I just hope with players like that, hope the injury, when it looks like it's a bad one, I hope they recover well. It's always a worry. I mean, it happens less and less these days with modern medicine. You look at an injury like Diego Carlos had him in 25 years ago. That might have been potentially a very, very different situation, but he's nearly back within 3 or 4 months by the looks of it. So Kamara the same. And it just goes to show that modern medicine is amazing. But then you get some injuries where you're out for a year. So fingers crossed. I hope that recovers pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Gary says hope it's not a Wesley. It was quite one of those. Yeah, it just didn't look good. So hopefully he's back fighting fit soon. Well, obviously Villa won us trophy. What was it called? The Al Wada Challenge Trophy. So that's great. But one team that will not be winning a trophy and will have to keep reverting back to 1966 is England. And we were optimistic on Thursday night in the last pod, and we knew it was going to be a tight game. I think we both thought it was going to be a really tight game, and that proved to be the case. But ultimately we came up short, and Yeah, I'll get your thoughts from it first, mate. What did you think of the old performance and having slept on it? What are your thoughts on kind of England moving forwards?
I thought the performance was all right. I think you've got to give credit. I think we went toe to toe with France, for the game. And sometimes in those games, it happens in all kinds of football. Sometimes when Chelsea play Arsenal, Chelsea win, and sometimes Arsenal win. These things happen. The problem is, if you were looking at Chelsea and Arsenal over a period of 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you wanted to say that they were both as big teams as each other, you'd expect to see decent win ratios. And my point with England is, I'm really annoyed at the plucky loser thing. I know it's easy after the event, isn't it, to start to throw a few bombs and get annoyed, but I've been annoyed at Southgate for years, and everyone like, well, how can you be annoyed at Southgate? He got to the final of the Euros, and he got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Yeah, but he basically played like just teams that you'd expect anyone to beat. You really would, and I know that you can only beat what's in front of you, and I get that entirely. But if you look at England's record in knockout football since winning the World Cup, it's abhorrent compared to the other major nations. The stats are there for be it Italy, Spain, Germany, France. The amount of more knockout games they've won compared to England, it pales into insignificance. The problem for me is, and I spoke about this pre this World Cup, about missing opportunities. I still get annoyed now that we lost to Croatia in that 2018 semi-final when we were 1-0 up. We weren't playing Brazil. We weren't playing Argentina. We weren't playing Spain. We were playing Croatia. Good team, don't get me wrong. Obviously Modric and, some other good players in that team, Lovren, etc., etc. But we were 1-0 up against Croatia. You've got to, if you want to be a proper team, win those games. Italy haven't even qualified for this World Cup. Yeah, they were a decent team. We were 1-0 up against them in the Euros final. We didn't win the game. And France didn't play great last night. You have to win that game, or at least take it to extra time. And we didn't. And you can talk about the ref, who was absolute dog shit. Let's be clear, right? Right, absolute dog shit. Apologies for any kids listening. But did we go for it? I'll tell you one thing. I'm really annoyed at Grealish because I expected more from him in the 90 seconds that he had. What did he do? He had nearly 2 minutes on the pitch.
I know, it's shocking.
More than that.
I can't believe it.
Is that the answer to your questions? You don't bring on Callum Wilson when he's the other main striker, but you don't bring on probably the most creative player in the league, Maddison.
It didn't get a minute all World Cup.
Didn't get a minute in the World Cup.
No, I think you make a lot of points. Just a couple of points from everyone. Gary said we played well, and Gareth didn't do a lot wrong. And Moley Boy, I said if Kane hits a target and it's saved, I wouldn't mind, but F me, that was awful. Yeah, the penalty was terrible. We just need to win something, and away we go. And then Rachel really echoing my points, absolutely, Gary. I just think he wasn't brave enough when it was 1-1 to go for the win, and that for me is the key. And I heard us. I think last night everyone was kind of just, you put the radio on, obviously the TV and all that, wanted to say how well we played, how we matched them, and Gareth's done a great job. But having slept on it, and now you're looking at the newspapers, it's turning a little bit to say, like, we can say how well we've played, but how many times are we going to keep saying we played well against a team that was 50-50 or whatever? And on the radio, they gave a stat where under Southgate, England have played teams in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings 24 times, and we've only won 4 of them.
Rich.
So that tells you everything you need to know. And you said it yourself, Italy, Croatia, France, Germany, you could say out of the last 3 tournaments, those 4 top teams, we've beaten one of them once. Beat Germany, that's it. We were beating Croatia, we were beating Italy, we got it to 1-1 in the game yesterday, and we were in the ascendancy. Yeah. Why doesn't he go for the game and go for the jugular? Why doesn't he go and put like a Grealish on, a Maddison on, a Rashford on, who was top England scorer in the tournament? Why not? Like, Foden was largely anonymous, and to be honest with you, Foden's a wonderful footballer, but he's flattered to deceive for me for England. I can't recall him having a great game for England.
Yeah,
like put Rashford on. That defender would have been, slightly jaded. Give Rashford half an hour, get at that defender, get at him. But he just doesn't go after it. Like, change the formation. It was literally typical English mentality, English manager mentality. Steve Bruce, whoever you want to name, whatever traditional English manager you want to name. We go 2-1 down, then he makes the subs. What's the point then? What's the point in making the subs then?
Mate, it feels like for me, with Southgate as manager, it's that plucky, Tim Henman, bad luck. He lost to Ivanisevic in the semi-final, and he would have won if it hadn't been rain. Didn't he do well? Let's have some strawberries and cream. It feels like that plucky loser mentality. And you've seen examples of England teams in all sorts of sport, be it the Rugby World Cup winning team in 2003, be it the current crop of cricketers who are, there's a sense of mentality there that they've got. That is a proper monster mentality that they've got. That win in Pakistan was incredible. Only the third time in God knows how many years. And
they declared so that they could go after and win the game.
Exactly.
They knew they could lose, but they knew that they could win.
You'd rather regret doing something than regret not doing something. And have we got regrets for the game against Croatia in the World Cup 2018? Of course we have. Have we got regrets against Italy? Of course we have. And let's not forget as well, I know it's easy to say this, but I don't think some of the national teams now are what they used to be. They're not. I mean, I was even thinking this with Brazil the other day. Brazil have got Richarlison, who can't get in the Spurs team, is probably their main man, other than Neymar. They've got Rafinha, who admittedly fine plays for Barcelona now, but was at Leeds before that. We're not talking Romario, Bebeto, Careca, Ronaldinho, R9, Ronaldo. Look at Spain's team compared to what it was like 10 years ago. Look at Germany's team. We beat Germany 2-0 in the round of 16 in the Euros. They haven't even quite got out of the group in this World Cup. And Spain obviously the same. You go back to other teams who play that have been decent in the last few years. You forget Belgium. We played them in the group stages of 2018. We lost. We played them in the third, fourth place playoff. We lost. The teams we played, would you expect us to beat Tunisia? Well, we did with a stoppage time goal. Then we beat Panama 6-1. Isn't Kane brilliant getting loads of goals against Panama? I'd score against Panama, right? Colombia in the 16, you drew 1-1, win on pens. Sweden, we win 2-0, lose to Croatia. In the Euros, beat Croatia 1-0, draw with Scotland 0-0, beat Czech Republic 1-0. I mean, you can only beat what you got. Beat Germany, smash Ukraine, beat Denmark after extra time. Are you expecting a Spain, a France, and Italy and Argentina to beat Czech Republic, to beat Germany the way they are now, to beat the Ukraine, to beat Denmark? You are. England's problem is, when you get, they're like Jimmy White. In the crunch games, you're not winning it. And that is where you've got to look back and go, have we taken our opportunities? You don't want to be gung-ho. You don't want to be crazy, right? But you've got to be giving your better players more minutes than he's given. And I think someone made a point in the comments. Harry Kane, I don't think he's been at it.
I was going to go to this one, AJ. Yeah, I was going to go to this one.
I don't think, like, fine. I mean, he scored a penalty, he missed the penalty. Obviously, it was terrible. Anyone can miss a penalty. These things happen. But I don't know whether he's a threat of striker that he used to be.
It's the way. Yeah. I think. Like, I don't think he had a bad game last night. I thought he was all right. And I'm not a massive Kane fan for England, the way that he plays. And I think part of it is because we don't get the runners in behind for him for that to be effective. You look at like Son or Kulusevski, it's like pure speed, isn't it? And like, whereas Saka kind of runs with the ball and Foden hasn't really got that electric pace. I think he would work with a Wilson, if maybe he'd have put like two up top and just given them something to think about. Like, if you look at the game the night before, Netherlands against who did Netherlands lose to on penalties? Argentina. Yeah, that was like, yeah, they were out, weren't they? 2-0. Argentina cruising. They bring Weghorst on, who's couldn't get in the Burnley team, but he's 6'7". He's just a nuisance. The Argentina defense did not know what to do with him. They just he tried something, and look what happened. The guy scored 2 goals. I know we weren't in a losing position until late in the game, but but at the time you're thinking, right, let's go try and win this. Let's try and do something a little bit different. Let's try and, confuse Upamecano and Varane at the back. Let's go man for man against them. Or like if Kane's dropping off, let's try and stretch them a little bit. Put Wilson on up top. Just change it a little bit. Like you're
Rashford is in
thinking
great
plays
form.
off the shoulder. Even Rashford up there, like
Good
playing
form.
off the shoulder. Kane gets the space in behind, and then you've got, you don't have to coach a system for like 10 weeks to try and do that. You just do something in the game because it feels right. And I just feel like sometimes Southgate is just so safe. And I've said it before, international football is usually 80 to 85 minutes of shit sprinkled with 5 minutes of genius. And unfortunately, he doesn't use the genius.
Yeah,
You've got players like Grealish, you've got players like Maddison, you've got players like Rashford who can pull something out of the hat for like nothing. And that's the problem with him. You look at like Griezmann was all over the shot, and then he pulls that across like that. It's just like, just somewhat, just you need some magic because the games are so tight most of the time. And yeah, it just feels like a massively missed opportunity, and I don't see it change. Unfortunately, with Southgate, he's really well spoken. He's a great kind of figurehead for the FA, but we're just going to come up against the same issue. If it's happened 3 times in a row in big games, in big tournaments, it's going to happen again.
yeah.
And you've said it yourself, the definition of insanity. Don't need to repeat ourselves anymore on it.
We don't. And Gary's put in the comments, you can't have Brendan McCullum as a football manager who plays like that football. I'm not saying you be gung ho all the time. I'm just saying, you have to. Was there a belief yesterday in England that we were going to take that game from France after obviously after going behind? I thought second half we played pretty well. There was obviously a few chances, but one bit of quality. This has been said for years about England players, right? From Glenn Hoddle to Matt Letitia. And I know that Grealish isn't quite the same player at City that he was at Villa. But if Grealish was Spanish, French, Italian, whatever, he'd start every game. I think he's probably one of the best 2 or 3 players in the squad. And that might be my opinion. I just think his confidence on the ball, the way he uses the ball, is a different level. And I think you've got to have him on the pitch. And, if you're going for the game, I thought Henderson actually did quite well.
Just slightly ran out of steam, didn't he? And I think to be fair to Southgate, I think he was looking to change it just as they scored, but that was 78 minutes, and that's, I don't know. For me, it's a bit too. It's not early enough. Molly Boy says he wants Morocco to win now. I've got a soft spot for Morocco, and interestingly enough, their coach has been in charge of their team for 3 months.
Yeah.
And they've knocked out Spain. Who have they knocked out? They beat Belgium, Spain, and Portugal.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't take that long to put a system of play together. It doesn't take that long to get a spirit. So, I don't know. One player who does deserve a massive, massive, massive shout out and has really come of age this tournament is Jude Bellingham. And
fantastic.
Being from my hometown of Stourbridge, I'm very proud and he's a future England captain right there, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Although I also think he ran out of steam a bit in a couple of the games, and probably could have been withdrawn a bit earlier. But yeah, I think he's just. I mean, even the way his reaction, obviously, when Kane missed the penalty, he was the first one to go up to him, and I just think he's quality, isn't he? He's quality player. I think also, credit where credit's due. He's a Dodgson player. I thought Maguire did well in the whole World Cup.
He did. I mean, he maybe lost a slight lapse in concentration for letting what's his name go?
Giroud.
Who scored? Giroud. Yeah, slight, but I mean the ball in was just incredible.
Yeah, and look, it's another quarter final. It's not bad, but it all comes down to about missed opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, did I think we'd win it? Probably not. I thought quarterfinals was probably about where we'd end up, and it would have been a bit of an upset to beat France. But when you're in the game and you see it and you've got that momentum with you, you just think it's there for the taking. And of
Rich.
course, hindsight is 2020. My issue is more so is that the traits that you've got with Southgate happened yesterday, and they happened in at least two other occasions.
Do you know what we're like? Though? Do you know what we're like as
and
a
it's
team?
going to happen again.
We're like Spurs. England like Spurs. You know, opportunities. Leicester won the league, right?
All fart and no shit.
Yeah, Leicester won the league, didn't they? Remember when Spurs finished second when Leicester won the league? No, they didn't even finish second because Arsenal picked them on the last day of the season for second spot after they fell away. But that was a season when Spurs were absolutely flying and Leicester won the league. You know, and in all these different situations, Champions League final, you know, and you can talk about pride. And to be fair to Spurs, you know, are they as good a team as England are comparatively nationally? I don't look at last night and think anything other than the following. We were better than France in the night, and you've got to win that. You've got to win in knockout football. You've got to win those games. You've got to win it by hook or by crook, whatever it takes, because you've got Morocco next, and then you're in the final.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, that's enough. I was thinking, so might have been travelling for Wednesday for the semi final, but now I haven't really got to worry about that at all. So yeah, now it's all about Villa anyway, and we've obviously in that we beat Chelsea today. We've won a trophy, so we've been better than England anyway, at least. Just rounding up some other news. The Sky's cameras were at Villa Park today for the Villa women.
Good start.
Who gave a good account of themselves. I watched the vast majority of the game. Gave a good account of themselves against Arsenal. I think the aggregate score last season was 7-0 or something. So at least actually scored against them and did actually create quite a few chances. I guess it's just that we talked about it the other day where you've almost got like, you know, 2 or 3 leagues within the league, and Villa are in that middle section now, but they're just not as clinical. They haven't just got quite the squad or the players to get up to that stage where they're really competing against Arsenal.
Yeah, it was a good start. Again, obviously going 1-0, but you know, Arsenal quality team, and I think if Villa can, you know, consolidate this season, finish maybe 5th, 6th, something like that, and then add some quality additions in the summer, then I think, you know, there's real hope for the future for that team, because I think they've done some really, really good stuff. We've got some good players in that team as well, you know. From
really good players.
Daly,
got a lot of injuries as well. Got a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
I'm sure they've got 3 players with cruciate ligament injuries or something.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a competitive league that at the top end really is. You know, there's 4 or 5 teams that are, you know, probably head and shoulders above everyone else. So it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? You know, because it'd be good to get like a statement win.
It would, because obviously they beat Man City in that first game of the season 4-3 on Sky, or it was on BBC. I think that one was on live TV. So it would have been nice to have got a massive win. But I think there's a decent crowd there. Like I say, Villa would push right till the end. I think stats wise, it was 48% possession for Villa, 52 for Arsenal. 8 shots for Villa. Well, to be fair, Arsenal had 19 shots. But on target was 6 Villa shots on target, 7 on target for Arsenal. So in terms of shots on goal, it wasn't as it wasn't as wide as it maybe has been in the past. So yeah, they're getting there. It's just I guess with maybe 1 or 2 players coming back to fitness, hopefully they can they can start to get some consistency back together, because they have lost 1 or 2 games in the league now. I think it's a couple of games in a row they've lost in the league, albeit against tough teams. But they've got till 14th of January now. It's the next matches, so bit of a break over Christmas, and they can hopefully regroup.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Excellent, mate. Right, so I think actually we had a comment before about Neil Critchley, and he has been confirmed as QPR manager, which is a interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Michael Beale leaving Villa to go to QPR, then goes to Rangers. Neil Critchley leaving Villa, goes to QPR. 3-year deal as well.
Yeah, obviously they want that youngish manager with loads of ideas, which is obviously what Beale was like and what we thought we were going to get from Critchley replacing Beale. Who's our current assistant manager? Is it Paco? What's his name?
I don't know what any of the names are anymore.
He'll be off to QPR probably by January.
yeah. They just seem to like get our coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's a deal. Maybe there's a deal whenever we get an assistant manager. They've got dibs on them. Look, I don't think his time at Villa will be looked at particularly fondly. You know, from the whole where's my passport gone?
Yeah, hopefully they're not going to do any pre-season tours to Australia.
Yeah. Hopefully they haven't got anywhere. You need a passport. Their pre-season tour will be Dagenham and Canvey Island, won't it? That's what they'll be doing. But look, he was really highly regarded at Blackpool, and they were gutted to see him go. He did a really good job, obviously, getting promoted and consolidating in the Championship. So good luck to him. I hope it works out.
Yeah. Gary says, do Critchley and Beale join Gerrard at England?
Oh God, imagine Gerrard at England. So someone put this on Twitter the other day, but I can't. I totally agree with this point. Every time I hear Gerrard's voice now, it pisses me off.
He does an advert, doesn't he, for Hyundai? Is it? Yeah.
Of course. So if Gerrard got the England job, I'd be absolutely amazed. I don't know who are the options though. Pochettino probably is a big shout. Does he want to go to
Pochettino and Tuchel? I don't think he's gonna. Unless he decides that he's had enough. I don't think the FA will move on with him, because I think the managers that you would take, maybe Eddie Howe, Potter, I think they're settled in their jobs. You know, maybe Potter, if he goes on a losing run with Chelsea, maybe he loses his job a bit quicker than he anticipated, and then we might have a shot at him. But England might have a shot at him. But Eddie Howe's not going to leave Newcastle, and I can't see any other manager being worthy of it at the moment, really.
No,
I don't think the England. I know Southgate graduated from under-21s up, but I can't see. Is it Lee Carsley who's the England under-21 manager? I can't. There's just no chance of that.
There's no real clear options of people that are available, is there? So
no.
Dyche, maybe give it to Dyche.
I don't think so.
You'll have Ben Mee centre half. Be good.
Yeah. Gary asked, are we doing a Villarreal post-match? I am sure we will. Whether we do it straight after the game, I'm not sure, because it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. But we'll see. But I'm sure we'll jump on at some point. Yeah, Kev, it's been a pleasure. Like, obviously, Villa win a trophy, which is always good. Getting close to that Boxing Day match where we kickstart the season again, which is good. And yeah, pods on a regular basis. So yeah, please, everyone, thanks so much for watching. More of you watching today. I'm glad that the word's getting around that the Villa Park pod is back. Please leave a like on the video, and please subscribe as well if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed already. As we said, we'll be back on Thursday, I'm sure, or Friday to certainly react to the game against Villarreal. Hopefully we get a win, and yeah, we start to see even more of the Villa under Emery in action. Kev, thanks a lot for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Mate, I'm delighted, whatever happened in England, that we are the Al Wada Challenge Cup champions. So I'll be resting well tonight. We can sing that song on the stands of Villa Park. Have you won the Al Wada Champions Cup? So, yeah, and trophies are a good start, aren't they? So, yeah, mate, good to be back. We'll keep the pods going now. Now the season's obviously kick off pretty soon, and yeah, once again, thanks for all the comments, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.